Friday, Powell shifts focus from inflation to jobs. First off, shout outs to Ripple, RLUSD for its first year anniversary. Many more anniversaries to come. I think it's sitting at 1.3 billion. Excuse me, major moves from a major player, especially since stable tokens, stable coins are going to be a huge narrative for the rest of this decade and moving forward. So with regards to the Federal Reserve FOMC meeting today, everybody thought it was going to be very, very, very hawkish. I thought at worst neutral, at best very dovish, because Chairman Powell's language throughout the whole speech was language of, listen, we are focusing more on the situation with unemployment. Jobs seem to be at risk. Yes, your AI will create new career paths. It'll make jobs easier, better. It'll help people's just workflow produce more efficient, basically, products, right? And outcomes versus before. But at the same time, he has to acknowledge the fact that it hasn't taken up, especially for the past 2 years. And inflation is sticky, but it's not going up at a rate as bad as unemployment is. And unemployment, I think, is at 4.4%. And he even acknowledged, even furthermore, that despite the fact that we've gotten a lot of illegals out of the country, there still aren't enough jobs to fill for the positions for the people that aren't employed, right? When people are, it puts a lot of stress on people because, just a side note, because if you lose your job, you want to know that there's something else that you can go to, and that's not the kind of environment we're in right now. So the return of Q is on Friday. He basically stated they usually give out a document a half hour before they go off. As soon as the basis point rate cut decision is released, then they released a written statement this past October. They released a written statement saying that QT was done. They're not going to say QE is going to begin because that would freak the market out. But what they did say is that beginning this Friday, the 12th, 2 days from now, they're going to start buying $40 billion worth of T-bills. My understanding is this: I'm not a macroeconomist by any means, but they usually buy around 25 billion a month, and 40 billion, especially saying that they're going to do it in the next 30 days, is basically saying, hey, there's not enough liquidity in the system and we have to inject capital. That's what QE is in essence, is injecting capital in the market. Quantitative tightening is taking liquidity out of the market. Quantitative easing is putting money into the market. And when you put money into the market, the government in essence has to print more money to keep up with all this increased liquidity in the system, which is, as everybody knows, just increasing zeros on the balance sheet. That's all it is. What this means for risk on assets like crypto is if there's stability in the markets, as in that there's enough money, there's enough treasury buybacks, there's enough stocks out there that are being bought by people, by institutions, people can go more risk on and actually go into a mode where they're buying riskier assets. These are your Bitcoins, your Litecoins, your altcoins, etc. That's why, if you notice, the past 48 hours, Ethereum has actually been outperforming Bitcoin. And it looks like we might start to see the beginnings, not financial advice, do your own research, of altcoin season. Before I continue, remember to like the video, subscribe so you always get the notifications, and share the video. Liking, subscribing, and sharing is caring, and it's also free. So, the next 48 to 72 hours is very important. As I stated before in other videos, after the FOMC meeting, never trust the pump. These are algorithms before, leading up to the half hour, leading up to when Chairman Powell speaks, and the half hour to an hour during his speech, and a half hour after his speech. It's all algorithmic trading. It's just algorithms listening to every little thing he does and trading in microseconds. So if the market goes up or down, you really can't trust that. What you really can trust usually is 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time when the stock market closes, and then going to 7 p.m., which is UTC midnight, how the Bitcoin and other risk-on assets react. Day one, Wednesday, right? But 48 hours after, Friday, how the market's gonna react ending the week. Based on that, we can extrapolate out and we can figure out, in the next few weeks, are we going to have a Santa rally? I had a call yesterday and somebody told me, Mike, based on the information you have now, you're seeing in front of you, do you think that Bitcoin is gonna hit 100K by the end of this month? I told him, listen, I don't know. I can say right now with certainty that based on the information that I have in front of me, yes, it will hit 100K. It could even go to 107K by the end of this year, basically by January 1st, 2026. However, I cannot know until, first off, we hit 2 deadlines. Friday, this upcoming Friday, again, the end of the week, weekly close, And for just extra assurance, upcoming Monday, because the Santa rally usually takes place within a period of right before Christmas through January 7th, where it's basically just algorithmic trading based on the fact that a lot of people have excess capital and they're putting it into the market, which a lot of people do not have excess capital right now. Sure, there's a lot of people that are very extremely wealthy that work for investment firms that are getting the end of the year bonuses, but we have a situation where a lot of places like warehouses like Amazon, for example, I said this before, are not hiring this year because they have robots instead. So there has to be increased liquidity in the market. I believe that the Federal Reserve dropped the ball personally. They're much smarter than I am, I would hope. And not doing a 50 basis points cut like back in September, or at least today. But I'm just a guy on YouTube that looks at what's going on, actually goes out and talks to people in the real world and knows people are losing jobs, people are stressed out, and the fact that there are no fucking jobs because AI is taking them all, right? All they do is look at balance sheets. I talk to real people. With that being said, all I gotta say is this. Like I said, wait 48 hours and also enjoy Solana Breakpoint. Solana Breakpoint is dope. It's coming up tomorrow, I think is day 1, and you're gonna have like 3 more days of it. That's the last conference of the year. So it's over. No, I'm kidding, it's not over. But you know what I mean. Anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna go enjoy myself and party because there's so much to celebrate. And I hope that you can too. And it's holiday season. So live a little. That being said,